Ever wondered what freedom really means and what we do when it's under threat? It's a question that has been asked throughout the ages, from philosophers in ancient Greece to modern-day social scientists. Freedom, you see, is like a double-edged sword. On one side, it's our most cherished possession, something we hold dear and close to our hearts. But on the flip side, when that freedom is put to the test, well, things can get a little interesting. We're not talking about the kind of test you'd take in school, where you can simply cram the night before and hope for the best. No, this is a test that shakes the very core of our being. It's a test of our values, our beliefs, and yes, our sanity. And what if we told you that COVID-19 was just a test of that freedom? Yes, you heard it right, a drill. Now don't get us wrong, we're not saying COVID-19 was a picnic, but what if it was a drill? An exercise in global patience, a worldwide test of our sanity, a colossal practical joke by Mother Nature herself. Let's take a moment to roll back the tape, shall we? Picture this. A virus sweeps across the globe and the first thing humanity does is, drumroll please, hoard toilet paper. Yes folks, the threat of a respiratory virus had us fearing for our bottoms. Supermarket aisles were left barren, like a post-apocalyptic movie scene. Only, instead of aliens or zombies, the threat was germs. And then, as if the toilet paper frenzy wasn't enough, we turned our kitchens into makeshift chemistry labs, whipping up homemade hand sanitizers like we were auditioning for a low-budget Breaking Bad sequel. Who knew we had so many amateur chemists among us? Even our fashion choices took a wild turn. Masks became the newest accessory to hit the runway, and we're not talking about the Halloween variety. No, these were bedazzled, sequined, emblazoned with slogans. Suddenly, everyone was a masked crusader fighting an invisible enemy with a piece of cloth and some elastic. And let's not forget the great lockdowns. We were confined to our homes, creating a boom in home workouts, sourdough starters, and an inexplicable rise in the popularity of Tiger King. We had to find new ways to entertain ourselves, and it turns out the answer was a mullet-sporting, tiger-loving, country-singing eccentric. So, what does all this tell us? Well, it seems when our freedom is threatened, the human race responds in some truly fascinating ways. We panic, we adapt, we get creative, and we definitely don't skimp on the toilet paper. So it turns out when freedom is threatened, we all turn into toilet paper hoarding chemists. But hey, at least we can say we survived the great COVID drill of the 2020s, right? And if nothing else, we've all got a lifetime supply of toilet paper to show for it. But it wasn't just individuals. Even governments and businesses got in on the act. Yes, folks, they too were part of this grand charade, this cosmic pantomime we call the COVID drill. Take governments, for instance. They were like headless chickens running around a farmyard, unsure whether to cluck in fear or peck at the problem. They implemented lockdowns, then lifted them, then re-implemented them. It was a game of whack-a-mole, except the mole was a microscopic virus, and the hammer was a confused public health policy. And the mask mandate, oh, the mask mandate, it was like a game of Simon Says for adults. Simon says, put on your mask. Simon says, take off your mask. Now put it back on. Oh, Simon didn't say. Gotcha! It's quite a spectacle to see world leaders playing a giant game of Simon Says with their citizens. But let's not forget our beloved corporations. They didn't miss a beat in jumping on the drill bandwagon. Suddenly, every product was COVID safe, COVID proof, or my personal favorite, COVID chic. Hand sanitizer companies became the new oil barons. Toilet paper manufacturers were hailed as the saviors of humanity. Yes, humanity's survival hinged on our ability to stockpile charmin. And let's not forget the food delivery services. They were the unsung heroes, delivering pizza and sushi to our doorsteps while we cowered inside our homes, afraid of the invisible enemy lurking outside. They became our lifeline to the outside world, our knights in shining mopeds. In the end, it was a sight to behold. Governments scrambling, corporations capitalizing, and the rest of us stuck in the middle, wondering when we'd run out of toilet paper. It was a circus, a comedy of errors, a farce of epic proportions. And all along we were just pawns in this elaborate drill, this grand experiment on human behavior. And that's how you know it's a drill, because who can take a toilet paper shortage seriously? But let's get to the heart of the matter. Why would anyone want to run a drill like this? Imagine, if you will, a clandestine meeting of extraterrestrial beings. Picture them huddled around a galactic conference table, debating the readiness of humanity for a full-blown alien invasion. One of them, let's call him Zorg, pipes up, Let's see how they handle a global pandemic first, just to test the waters. The rest, after a brief pause, nod in agreement, their antennae wiggling in unison. So they deploy COVID-19 to Earth, sit back and watch the show. Are they disappointed or impressed by our response? Well, only Zorg and his buddies can tell. But wait, there's another possibility. Picture the world's dolphins in an underwater council, their sonar clicks echoing through the deep. They've had enough of the noise pollution, the plastic waste, and those obnoxious jet skis. It's time for them to reclaim the surface world. But how do we test the humans' response to crisis? Asks one particularly savvy dolphin. A murmur of agreement ripples through the water. A global pandemic should do it, another dolphin suggests. They all whistle in approval, and thus COVID-19 is unleashed on mankind. Now they're just waiting for the perfect time to strike. Or perhaps it's the trees. Yes, you heard it right, the trees. Tired of being chopped down and turned into paper, they've decided to fight back. Their weapon of choice? A global pandemic. The ultimate goal, to reduce human activity and regain their lost land. But here's the ridiculous part. These are all just absurd theories, invented for a laugh. The reality, as we all know, is that COVID-19 was a real threat. Millions of people lost their lives and the world was brought to its knees. But in this world of satire and comedy, we can't help but imagine, what if it was all just a drill? What if some higher power was testing our capacity to deal with a global crisis? So, was it the aliens or the dolphins? We may never know. So, let's recap this absurd journey we've been on. Imagine, if you will, a world where a simple sneeze could make you the most feared person in the supermarket. That's the kind of world we've been living in, folks, thanks to this so-called COVID-19 freedom drill. We started by asking a simple, albeit unsettling question. What would people do when their freedoms are infringed upon? And boy, did we get some answers. First, we saw the rise of the home hermit. These were people who, faced with the mere suggestion of a global pandemic, decided the safest place to be was under the duvet, binge-watching reruns of The Office. Then we had the panic shoppers. These were the folks who, for reasons known only to themselves, decided that the most important thing to stockpile in a pandemic was toilet paper. I mean, of all things, you would have thought canned food or bottled water might have been more useful, but no, toilet paper. We also saw some truly bizarre reactions from organizations. Airlines started offering COVID-free flights as if they had a magical bubble that could keep out the virus. And let's not forget the government's response. Lockdowns, curfews, travel restrictions. It was like they were playing a game of how many freedoms can we infringe upon at once. Finally, we delved into the possible explanations for this drill. Was it a ploy by the government to see how far they could push us before we pushed back? Was it a sociological experiment to see how people would react in a crisis? Or was it, as some conspiracy theorists suggest, a plot by the toilet paper companies to boost sales? We may never know the real reason behind this drill, but one thing's for sure. We've all learned a lot about how we react when our freedoms are threatened. And there you have it, the COVID-19 freedom drill. Absurd, yes, but hey, at least we learned how much we value toilet paper. And now we venture into the aftermath. What happens after the drill? What becomes of our world, our societies, and our individual lives once the dust settles? The world, as we knew it, has morphed into a new normal. Streets are slowly coming back to life, masks are becoming more of a fashion statement than a necessity, and the term social distancing is gradually losing its grip on our daily lives. Yet the scars of the pandemic are far from healed. The home hermits, once ridiculed, are now celebrated as remote workers. The panic shoppers have evolved into online shopping addicts. And the airlines? Well, they're still trying to convince us that their flights are COVID-free. The pandemic has also left its mark on society. People have become more health conscious, and the importance of mental health is now recognized more than ever. Governments worldwide have had to rethink their healthcare strategies, and businesses have had to adapt to survive. The lessons learned from this drill are numerous. We've learned the value of community, the power of resilience, and the importance of being prepared for the unexpected. We've seen the best and worst of humanity, and we've realized that when push comes to shove, toilet paper really isn't that important. So while the COVID-19 freedom drill might be over, its effects are far from gone. It's left us with a world that's a little bit wiser, a little bit stronger, and a lot more aware of the importance of good hygiene. And for that, we can only say thank you, COVID-19. As we navigate through the aftermath, one question lingers in our minds. What does the future hold after such a drill? Are we doomed to repeat this cycle, or have we learned enough to avert another global drill of this magnitude? Experts predict that while future pandemics are inevitable, the severity and impact can be mitigated. They foresee a heightened role for technology and innovation, not just in detecting and managing health crises, but also in maintaining the social fabric during times of isolation. We're talking AI, machine learning, and even drones playing a crucial part in future crisis management. But technology is just one piece of the puzzle. The COVID-19 drill has underscored the importance of preparedness and resilience. It has shown us that a society's strength lies not just in its infrastructure, but also in its ability to adapt, to innovate, and to unite in the face of adversity. The future might hold more drills, more challenges, but armed with the lessons from this drill, we can face them with confidence. The future is uncertain, but one thing is for sure. When the next drill comes, we as a global community will be ready. And in this readiness, we find our hope, our strength, and our resilience. So, as we step into this uncertain future, let's not forget the lessons learned from the COVID-19 freedom drill. Because the future isn't something that just happens, it's something we create. And this time, we'll be creating it with our eyes wide open.